We got started in racing. I started out probably ever since I got my license, I've always raced street race, stuff like that. Then got into drag racing motorcycles for about 6 years. And then me and him built a 77 Camaro and run about 730s. We ran it for quite a few years, just got burnt out on it.
Well, I ended up moving to Charlotte.
Yeah, he moved to Charlotte.
And what was funny was it's like sevens when I was in high school was relatively fast.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't, especially like at wear shoals and stuff like that, it wasn't slow, but it wasn't very fast, and we thought we were going somewhere. But then I moved to Charlotte, and it's kind of hard to race when I'm 2 hours away, so we kind of got rid of everything. And then when I moved back, we was kind of looking for something to do a little bit, so we bought a 79 Camaro, and it was more of like a show car type thing, a lot of chrome, and just something to kind of take to car shows and stuff. We thought it would be a little more low key than drag racing was, so we did that for two years.
Yeah.
And nothing against anybody who does the car show stuff, because it's fun, but there's a certain adrenaline rush that a car show just won't give you sitting in a lawn chair behind the car. So we kind of we said, well, let's just throw it out there for sale at kind of I'd say a decently high price for a 79 Camaro. Guy had a Camaro collection and was, oddly enough, that generation Camaro. He didn't have one of. I don't know why. I mean, it doesn't seem like it would be all that hard to find one.
Where I put it on these pages to sell it, people would start putting their stuff on there, and I would just say trade for a 79 Camaro. Had a couple people interested, but this guy here,
I remember you texted me when I was at work. You said, what do you think about this car? And I was like, no way. I was like, there's absolutely no way that guy will trade us for this car. And then he messaged you back and
said he'd be here. He rolled up here at 7 o'clock in the morning.
I came here before I got to work. We cranked it up and rolled it off the back of the trailer at 7:30. And I mean, it didn't have the motor it in now, but it was still open headers. I mean, 7 o'clock, it was loud. It was kind of one of those things. I think it was just kind of meant to be for us to have this car, because I mean, we always kind of tell people we traded this car, or traded the 79 Camaro for this car, and we get a lot of eye roll out of it. But that's just kind of where we are with it now.
To getting back to when he was in college racing, everybody said he was a paid driver. I worked on the car, load it up, go get fuel, haul it to the track.
This is not.
And sometimes had to pay his way in. Then I forgot my wallet. And he'd get in and drive it. When the race was over, he'd leave. I'd have to load it back up, carry it back home, unload it. It was fun.
I never said I was a good child.
No, he wasn't.
But, we had fun with it at least.
He's better.
Yeah. I at least showed up today to crank it up. But yeah, it was like, I guess the older I got, the more I've enjoyed kind of the working on it part of it. Whereas, back in high school and college, it was a little different. I was, I enjoyed the racing part of it, but I also had things I wanted to do as well with just my friends and stuff. So it was kind of go do this, and how quick can I get to the next thing to do. But the older I get, like I said, I kind of enjoy the working on it a little bit when I can get here between work and the kids. But it's definitely do a lot more than I used to.
That's one thing we both said. The car don't come in front of them grandkids. I've just always kind of been crazy, I guess. But they was a bunch of my friends, Jimmy Finley, he had a Mustang, and Mark, he raced, and I would just been around it all my life.
And then you motorcycle race with Jimmy and your brother and all
Ludi and all them guys.
Yeah, I never got into the motorcycle racing. It's not really. Never been on a motorcycle, so I didn't inherit those want-tos.
No, not much. Till he got.
But you didn't necessarily race when I was like in primary and middle school, though, did you? Because like you quit racing before I was born, right? Did you do any
I think I still
racing?
had the motorcycle.
So yeah, you.
But after that,
up,
I kind of got out of it for a while.
We never
I worked
really,
out of town and stuff a lot then.
And we never had when I was growing up, we never had a old car or anything like that we worked on. I mean, we had a shop where you worked on a lot of cars, but it was more kind of the newer stuff. So I don't really know how we kind of.
Oh, we started out with that Malibu.
Yeah, but I don't really know what made us just decide, hey, let's do this. I know you were hanging around with Jimmy and all them, and they raced, so that's probably where it came from. We saw them racing and decided, let's get our own car. And the Malibu was an interesting story. We kind of left that out of we had the white 77 Camaro, but before that was a Malibu that
the rear end broke in it.
And we just wholesale
and
said,
I'm
heck with it.
Impatient, and we tried 3 different times to fix it, and it locked up every time. So I just sold the car like it was, rear end tore apart. I just got tired of fooling with it.
It was more of kind of it still had full interior and everything in it, so it was more of kind of a street car type thing. But
we drug the Camaro out from under a tree.
Paid $400 for it. I'm pretty sure if I'd had a wreck in it, the car would have killed me, not the wreck.
If you grabbed the roll bar in it, it'd come loose.
That was the definition of redneck racing. That was sketchy. So we had bought the car, and it was very slow when we first bought it. The 468 that was in it, you said ended up being a passenger car motor. Basically, it was. We thought it was something at the time, but in a 2,500 pound car, pretty much everything's fast to a certain degree. Once we put a little bit bigger motor in it and started kind of getting into the fives, somebody said we needed a name for it, and we never had really put any thought into it. So we were sitting around at the Greer, I think, and talking about what name to do, and we were going around, and none of us were coming up with anything good. And Danny Fowler actually said, "Why don't we just name it Orange Crush?" And we just kind of went, "Okay." So not like a great story behind like the name or anything, but it just somebody said it and it stuck, and that's kind of where we've been ever since. My wife is not exactly. She had rather me have another hobby, I guess you could say. She's seen the first drag race I ever took my wife to. There was a pretty bad accident at a local track, and literally the first time she'd ever been. So she kind of was scarred for life a little bit. So after we got married, about a year later, I told her that we had bought a drag car. I didn't actually tell her we were trading for it. We had already had it when I told her, and showed her a picture of it. And I think she cried. I'm pretty sure she cried, and she was not happy. If she'll let them, I'd love to kind of get them involved in it. Obviously, I'd probably, either get them something different or put a little bit smaller motor in this one. But I'd love for them to get involved in it. I think, having the knowledge of how cars work and, being able to fix certain things. The newer cars, it's hard to fix anything on. Everything's electronic, but having some knowledge of how old cars work and the respect for it, I think is definitely something I'd like for them to get into.